For my next two graphic novel scenes, I decided that I am going to draw the multiple endings section of the note cards. The first one specifically sacrificing the city so that Koji will live with L, but he will have to work with the rogues. I'm going to show a little snapshot right after the city is essentially sacrificed. And for the second part of my graphic novel, the second scene, I'm going to do Layla wants to expose the lab. And this is where she wants to expose the lab, but Koji's like, no, that's a bad idea, we really shouldn't do that. And because of this, they get into a fight. And I will be drawing the conflict between the two. I decided to draw these two in particular because it has a lot of character engagement between Layla and Koji, and I think that these are probably my favorite scenes, and they're the most interesting in my opinion, just because it shows the dynamic between the two main characters. As I said earlier, I will be focusing on the multiple endings for one of my graphic novel scenes. I will be focusing on the first one in particular, in which Layla, the player, sacrifices the city to save Koji. Koji will live and with L, but he will work with the rogues and lend his powers to them so that they can rule over the city. I wanted to focus on this one in particular because it's the happier version in a way between the two, because Koji lives and none of the main characters die, but he still will have to work with the rogues, and the rogues take over the city, which is not good because they're evil and very greedy in power, and they have superhuman abilities, and they will end up hurting people, but Koji will still be alive in the end. In this scene, I imagine Koji and L fighting against the rogue experiment on top of one of those wooden planks that construction workers use to work on the side of high buildings so that they don't fall. So a wooden support beam, that's what they're on. And Elle is looking out into the distance, wondering where Koji is because he went off to fight the rogues, and she's worried, and she thinks that he died, but he ends up calling out to her, and she sees that he's alive, and they embrace in a hug. It's a very heartfelt scene. The ending, overall, it would be very sad for the city to be under control of the rogues, but I wanted to have that juxtaposition of them embracing even though they're in this situation, but they'll be in this situation together. And I think this scene is a nice way to show how far their relationship has come and how far their dynamic as characters has come. The next scene that I want to focus on for my graphic novel is Layla exposes the lab. Layla wants to expose the lab after questioning Koji a bit more because the military has just chased them, and she wants to know why. And after hearing about the abuse that these people have put him under and how they're kidnapping people to put under these experimentations, and the whole thing is unethical and unlawful, she wants to expose the lab so that they can stop this whole thing from happening, and the people who are involved in this will be imprisoned. And her idea of doing this is to infiltrate the lab and find out secrets and evidence that this is actually happening. And Koji is against this. He doesn't want to put Elle in danger. He doesn't want people coming after them, and he really just wants to save himself, which sounds bad, but he wants to have this life that he fought so hard to have, and going back to the lab will bring up so many bad memories, and he could also get caught. But Elle really wants to expose them, so they get into a conflict. It's not a big argument, they're kind of just bickering back and forth, but it's still something that shows their character dynamic and their relationship this far into the game. So I wanted to really highlight this, and that's why I chose it for my graphic novel.